It's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting into deep cuts, your world of music. So thank you so much for taking a minute out.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the
Oh,
latest work, before we get into your world of music, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, especially for musicians. How did you get through that
yeah.
era, and how did it change the way that you create and do things today?
Well, it was pretty hairy there for a little bit. I played trumpet and I do a lot of writing. Um, uh, Composing and arranging at that time exclusively. And so in 1 week I lost 15 grand of work, just gone. And I had just had a baby. So my daughter was like just about to start potty training when all this happened. So it was added a degree of anxiety to the whole affair. Um, but two big things happened. Number one was I really lucked out that because of the writing thing, so many great players who had lost all this work, especially older players, suddenly had a bunch of time on their hands. And so I got a bunch of calls like, "Hey man, I've always wanted to arrange this thing. Can you do the copy work on this?" Or, "Hey, can you give me a finale lesson?" Or, and suddenly like it just sort of went from down to this separate line of writing. So like really doubling down on writing and composing and arranging was one thing. The other thing, talking about deep cuts here, that whole project essentially came out of COVID in a lot of ways. Because in 2019, when Kyle, my co-writer, first reached out, I don't think it was to be a full-fledged co-writer on the project as much as like a guy who's taught jazz history and the guy who knows how to do the research for historical fiction. And I remember when he was calling me right out of the gate of the project, the idea was I remember saying like, "Hey, I've got a ton of concerts. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to what I'm going to be able to do and all this teaching." And then because of COVID, I just leaned heavily into writing comic books.
Yeah.
And so, and then I found out that was something I could do on my phone while I was holding a baby. It was like, oh, this is a lot easier than needing this guy over here. And
Yeah.
then, uh, and then we hit it off so well from there that the whole other career sort of bloomed that would not have happened if it wasn't for COVID. Um, so yeah, it was a little hairy, but
Yeah.
it was definitely it was I've got a lot of respect for the younger musicians, those who had to like set their roots down during that period, like there's some real bravery amongst those guys.
So, but what an interesting concept. You don't see that often with jazz being depicted in a graphic kind of format like this. You're going to have music that's going to ram up against it. How does it feel? How does it feel to have done this, the music, all of it together?
It's a blast, and the thing that's so great, there actually is a really neat lineage of jazz comic books out there. An artist that you might be aware of is Dave Chisholm, who lives up in upstate New York. And he does a lot of like biography. So he's got a book about Charlie Parker, a book about Miles Davis, and he does the art and the story. I just do the story. Um, and so it's one of the coolest things. It's much like jazz, like you got an idea and you got a passion, and then as you get into it, and you start realizing like, oh, there's a tradition, a lineage. I'm not in this alone, and other people have gone through this beforehand. There's fewer of us, admittedly, than trumpeters out there, but um, it's really fulfilling, and I really one of the things that's really warmed my heart is that like seeing people who have very little interest in jazz but like comic books who have been sort of see some of the broader implications of art in America in the 20th century that have led them to checking out jazz, like check out performers and think about their place as a creative and and what it means to be successful within that. So I think that's something that has been very um, I really do enjoy it. And the other thing I really like is that I think it's at a point with my kids, where they get to see dad kind of try some creative things he hasn't done, and maybe some things go better than others or not. But like that's like something where I can show it's worth taking little risks and exploring the creative aspect of your humanity.
So let's go to the beginnings of this creative world you're in. How did all of this begin with, with art, with music? Take me back to the beginnings. What was the start?
Sure. Um, my parents were musicians, working musicians on the south side of Chicago. Moved out to the south suburbs, and so growing up, they were very open to me following my bliss, so to speak. That Joe Campbell concept,
Yeah.
and they were like, if you want to be a garbage man, be a garbage man as long as you're happy doing it. And so with that, they really let me explore and do a ton of reading and follow a career in music. So by the time I got to college, I went to DePaul, which I'm now on faculty at DePaul. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really I majored in classical composition and jazz trumpet, and I lucked out that like a lot of us do, that I found a real nice community of people and got some opportunities at a young age to get out and perform, and really learned from that experience. I really developed a love for New Orleans brass band music and New Orleans trad jazz and big band music. And then yeah, so I put out a big band record back in 2012 and then took a bit of a break from recording a little bit after that. I guess I put out another record 2 years later, but in the last couple of years things have really just sort of exploded. So things have been really good there, and so I guess that's sort of a Cliff Notes version of
Sure.
it. But yeah.
Yeah. So who were early influences? Who were you listening to? Who swayed the way that you approach the instrument?
Oh man, on trumpet, Miles and Freddie Hubbard, like
Yeah.
unquestionably. I still am blown away with the lyricism of Freddie, a guy who can play anything, a guy who's so virtuosic and has such incredible endurance and technicality, but then will play 32 bars of mostly melodic, sustained melodies. Beautiful. You know, about once every couple of months, I have a moment of like, man, he figured it out, you know? In terms of writing, though, I love Jim McNeely. Jim's fantastic. Thad Jones. I love a guy named Gary McFarland, who's
Yeah.
kind of slept on, but he's so cool. Yeah, great, awesome.
Yeah.
Gil Evans. Um, and then coming to Chicago was my first discovered Maria Schneider's music. It was
Yeah.
really influential. Um, and I was late to the party checking out like Wynton Marsalis's large ensemble writing, but
Yeah.
like especially the suites and stuff like that. That's really some beautiful writing. And Darcy James Argue's out there right now. Miho Hazama. There's a lot of like slamming writers. And so and then I guess I'm burying the lead here. The biggest one is Wayne Shorter,
Yeah.
both in like as a composer, an improviser, and I think only in the last couple of years have my eyes really opened to like his depth as an orchestrator and arranger. I think we did a project a few years back where we transcribed High Life, that record from the 90s,
Yeah.
Marcus Miller. Um, did the production on that. And holy cow, what a work of genius.
Yeah.
I know it kind of had like a spotted reputation when it came out, or at least that's how I remember it. But like uh, really diving through that, it was there's such a richness of counterpoint and density and doubling and color. And like I truly believe that in the next couple decades, like especially when a recording of Iphigenia comes out, like once that happens, like I think his entire going to be re evaluated through an orchestral concept.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. What was the first live jazz show you saw that absolutely blew you away? Made you think, I want to be up there one day?
Oh man, okay. First, I was very lucky that growing up, my parents' annual anniversary date was the Chicago Jazz Fest, so I got to see
Nice.
incredible acts at a young age, and sometimes I wish my dad was still with us just so I could like say like, "Hey, was I at that Miles show in
Uh-huh.
the late '80s?"
Yeah.
Um, the ones that stick in my head as like particularly formative moments. I remember seeing Chico O'Farrell, one of his last concerts. That big band. This is back when the Jazz Fest in Chicago used to go pretty late. So I remember being up past my bedtime and just being blown away by that. Um, the Basie band. Actually, it was the first concert. Well, that Joe Williams, or maybe I should phrase it this way: Joe Williams was scheduled to be in that concert and died shortly afterwards.
Wow.
But that's sort of the era of that. I remember seeing Elvin Jones. Quite old and frail at that age. I remember him playing a folk song and thinking, like, "Oh, you can do that."
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
so yeah, there's a whole bunch of little moments here. I wish I had a more canned anecdote, but I think one of the big formative moments for getting into like the professional side, um, there's a trumpeter named Orbert Davis. You know Orbert?
Yeah.
He's great. When I was in high school, yeah, I was playing lead trumpet in these big bands, and he was a guest director for this thing. And I didn't think you could like, even though my parents were pro musicians, like they moved on and got day jobs, you know? And my dad like never learned how to like read notation. He could read chords, he had incredible ears, but like, came from a different, tradition in that way.
Yeah.
But it lost him some opportunities. So, um, coming from a pretty working class background, I was of the mind that if you wanted a career in this, it meant teaching high school, or private lessons at a studio somewhere. And I remember Orbert just sort of asking everybody what they wanted to do, and I said, "Well, I'd love to be a musician, but I can't do that. How am I going to do that?" And he goes, "Well, someone's got to do it." Like someone out there wants to do it, and like if you want to do it, that job is there for you to do. And it was such a simple little bit of encouragement that I'll never forget that concert afterwards. The first time I ever played an arrangement by John Clayton, another guy to put in that list, uh, and uh, yeah, so that was really inspirational. Yeah, give you the courage to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I dig it. So, what is it that gets you up every day that motivates you as a professional musician? What do you like the best about this life as a musician?
Oh man, that's a great question. Um, I gotta say the people,
Yeah.
honestly, like just like the promise of getting to create something that you get to bounce off somebody else and then they get to bounce stuff off of you. Already today, just as we're sitting, uh, um, I've gotten a couple videos from friends who have found this Bob Mincer big band recording from the 80s, and we're just sort of nerding out over this recording of Michael Brecker like shredding over I Hear a Rhapsody, and uh, um, and uh, and that's part of just one small facet. That's the type of thing that you don't even report. You don't even write in the diary. And then you get to like write suites and have people in the band, and they get to bring tunes. You get to arrange their tunes, and I'm on faculty at DePaul and Northwestern, and to get to like see students like bring in their material and like have goals and want to develop them and like to be a part of that process. That to me is the true riches of it,
Yeah.
like how we can relate to the others in the community.
So, why do you love this art form we call jazz?
Oh man, it is such an aspiration. It to be a great jazz musician is to fill a very long list of things, to be aware of the tradition of your instrument, to be aware of the tradition of the writing, of the tunes, of the way those tunes are played, the way they've been changed through the years, to know about theory to some level, whether or not it's through a structured university kind of thing or this in a broader, more holistic sense. You have to have some knowledge of like what's a three chord and where's it going to go, and once it goes to the six, where's that going to go, and like those kind of concepts. You need to know about society. You need to know about business. It doesn't hurt to know about politics, as dangerous as that can be, uh, and then just the music of the world, the people of the world, like that's what I think about jazz. It is such a lofty endeavor. Like no one ever hits the top. People get really close if you're the best in the world, but otherwise it's just this like it's a discipline, and it's fun. I think that's another part I really want to stress is that like it's easy to say that and seem lofty and like seem like a like I don't know, this is like some sort of a strict religious kind of furrowed brow endeavor, but there's a real beauty to it, you know. I got a chance to talk to Werner Herzog. You know who
Yeah.
Werner Herzog is?
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, he rocks.
Yeah.
And one of my personal heroes in the world is a guy who just like lives and exists in such a raw, wild way. And I asked him whether he thought that music could get that same sort of ecstatic truth that he looks for from film.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know, but I do know that like Mahler once said that a great opera has to contain, or a great symphony has to contain the world. And it's like, I think jazz can do that. I think jazz can get the high and the low and the humorous and the serious and just the whole endeavor to it. It's really, really something else.
So let me ask you this. At the end of the day, what are you hoping that people get from the Deep Cuts project?
Oh, I hope they get the idea that failure is an illusion. You know, this is something that Wayne Shorter used to say, that the dichotomy that we set up in our minds about success and failure is a lie, and it is a perceptual shortcoming that we really don't know how we impact the people around us. We do not know um, how our music will be perceived through time, through different places, through different people, maybe in ways that will never be fully articulated, but it's important. And we have to be creative and we have to be compassionate because that has a longer legacy. And after that, I hope people check out the variety of jazz out there and see that it's all part of one large body of work.
I dig it. So at the end of the day, Joe, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, colleagues, students, but you run the show. What is your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh my gosh, I'm a guy who tries. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's uh that's what I see. I wake up in the morning and I'm someone who will work hard at something, and I'm not afraid to slam my head against the wall until the wall breaks down. That's really more than anything else. I can't speak for the quality. I can't speak for how it's all going to work out in the long run, but I can say with full heart and as much honesty as I can that God damn it, I try.
I love it. So if anybody wants to pick up Deep
That's a scary
Cuts,
question, friend. I like
yeah,
that.
I know it is. It's a very daunting question. So if anybody wants to pick up Deep Cuts, whether it's the music or whether it's the book, how do they do it?
The album is coming out. Well, we're finishing up this year, so it'll either be, depending on the release schedule, at the end of this year or the beginning of next. The book is available right now, and along with our one of our lead singles on this. I'm Just Here for the Music, sort of a piece of music that's plays a part in the plot of our story. You can pick it up on Amazon, preferably at your local comic book store. They should have it there, and anywhere where books are sold. Um, yeah.
I love it. I will put links in the show notes. Joe, what a pleasure, man. It's great to talk to you, great to know you. Thank you so much for your work.
Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate it.
Hey Jazz fans, Joe Domino of Neon Jazz here. Proud to let you know about the triumphant return of the Kansas City Blues and Jazz Festival to Legends Field at the home of the KC Monarchs with a stellar lineup. Grammy-winning Stanley Clarke, Carl Denson's Tiny Universe, Jazz Master Bill Frisell, and KC luminaries Jackie Myers and Brody Buster. Tickets and more for this electrifying two-day event is found at monarchsbaseball.com, then click on special events. This October 3rd and 4th, join us as we bring magic and music back to Kansas City.